although faithfully conveying value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today we're diving into the book Moonwalk. On June 25th, 2009, a pop star suddenly passed away at the age of 51. This news caused global search engines to crash temporarily, impacting nearly 3 billion people. Nearly half the world's population at that time watched his funeral live on television. This pop star is Michael Jackson, the subject of today's book, acclaimed as the world's most successful artist. What's your favorite Michael Jackson song? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Michael Jackson was a famous American musician, dancer, songwriter, performer, and philanthropist. He began his career at age 5 by forming a band with his brothers. At 14, he went solo, starting his journey to become the king of pop. He won 13 Grammy Awards and 26 American Music Awards in his lifetime. As a solo artist, he had 13 U.S. #1 singles, and by age 30, he held the Guinness World Record for record sales. Michael Jackson not only elevated pop music to new heights, but also fused black music with white rock, breaking down racial segregation in the U.S. music scene and creating classic dance moves. 88 times. The moonwalk is a dance step that creates a magical illusion of walking forward while sliding backward. The moonwalk also became Michael Jackson's trademark. It ignited a worldwide craze of imitation. Today's book we're exploring is also named Moonwalk. This book is Michael Jackson's. Written in 1988, when he was 30, it's an autobiography in 6 chapters, detailing his journey from his family singing career at age 5 to becoming a world-famous musician by age 30.
Packed with Michael Jackson's personal insights and behind-the-scenes tales, this book was an instant hit worldwide, topping bestseller charts.
Media critics have noted that compared to other biographies detailing Michael Jackson's illustrious yet scandal-filled life, this is only autobiography, is more sincere and genuine, filled with heartfelt details. Through this book, he aimed to say, "I'm not a deity or a demon. I'm flesh and blood, and I crave understanding." I'll interpret this book in 2 parts. First, the Jackson 5, who achieved fame at a young age. Second, the journey to the top after going solo. On a late summer night in 1958, Michael Jackson was born in Gary, Indiana, USA, as the 7th of 9 children in his family. At age 5, Michael Jackson formed the Jackson 5 with his 4 brothers, gradually gaining recognition in amateur singing contests and family talent shows in Gary. This was the starting point of Michael Jackson's career. At age 8, the Jackson 5 won the Gary Talent Show Championship with their rendition of The Temptations' My Girl. 2 years later, in 1968, the kids were invited by a local record company to release their first album, Big Boy. That same year, they traveled to Chicago and New York for competitions and performances, gaining increasing popularity. Although the Jackson 5's achievements paled in comparison to Michael Jackson's future success, this family band was far from ordinary. They were one of the most successful black bands in American history. But Come to Me and Me, their works consistently topped the charts.
In 1970, when Michael Jackson was 12, they released the song ABC, which even beat the new song by the then most popular band, the Beatles, to top the U.S. Billboard chart and earned a Grammy nomination for Song of the Year.
The Jackson 5's success was no accident. Their biggest behind-the-scenes contributor was their father, Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson was originally an ordinary steel mill worker where the work was repetitive, hard, and monotonous, so he turned to playing music to relieve stress. He and his brother formed a band called the Falcons, which gained local fame and even earned some money from performances to help support the family.
Father didn't just bring musical genes to the children. More importantly, he provided an immersive environment from a young age. According to Michael Jackson, the Falcons always practiced in the living room at home, so we all grew up with R&B.
Influenced by their father, the children all loved singing and dancing, and the older boys were particularly fascinated by the guitar he often played. However, in America during the 1960s and 70s, instruments were expensive luxuries, and their father usually forbade the children from touching them. So the kids would sneak the guitar out to practice and put it back without anyone noticing. Until one day, while the kids were secretly practicing guitar, a string suddenly snapped, terrifying them all.
When their father came home from work and saw the broken string, he flew into a rage.
According to Michael Jackson's recollection, he was only 4 then and didn't understand what was happening. When he ran to second brother Tito's room, he found Tito crying on the bed while their father stood there menacingly with his beloved guitar, demanding, "Let's see what you can actually play." Um, Tito wiped his tears and bravely played several songs he'd taught himself. Father realized he played remarkably well, clearly having practiced seriously, not treating the guitar as a toy. Only then did Father believe the string broke accidentally during practice. Then Mother entered and gently described the talent the kids showed while singing and practicing at home, persuading Father to support their musical interests. Finally, Father acknowledged their talent and used his savings to buy them instruments and expensive microphones. And so the original Jackson family band was born. Guided by their father, the 5 brothers competed in amateur singing contests, gradually advancing from small towns to national stages. Father's training was brutally strict. Any mistake brought scoldings or beatings. Michael both revered and feared him, but knew this harsh discipline crafted their professional-grade performances that made them stand out. Oh, on the Jackson Five's path to fame, Father wasn't just their guide, but also their most capable manager, constantly planning their next steps. Father declared, since the kids chose music, they must achieve greatness. Whenever possible, Father drove to Chicago to watch shows, then reported back about performances and artists, so the kids learned industry trends. Father also handled all their competition and performance arrangements. His strategy was conquering Gary, then Chicago, and finally New York. With its producers and resources, the kids never disappointed him. They won competition after competition, successfully catching record companies' attention. During a Chicago performance, the kids attracted the notice of music businessman Keith. Like their father, Keith was a steel mill worker, passionate about music, but he was more enthusiastic about recording and business with a studio called Steel City. At his invitation, the Jackson 5 released their first single in 1967. Big Boy. The song featured beautiful harmonies about a boy wanting to date a girl. But 9-year-old Michael Jackson didn't understand most lyrics. He recalled, I sang whatever they gave me. Yet the record soon played on Gary radio stations. We became neighborhood celebrities. No one believed kids our age had their own record. Big Boy was just the start. Father soon contacted Motown Records, dedicated to bringing black music worldwide. After their audition, Motown founder Berry Gordy told them, history will grow more colorful because of you. I'll make you the most incredible people in the world. He predicted their records would top charts and break sales records, something the Jacksons never dared imagine. But Barry's prophecy came true. In January 1969, their single, I Want You Back, released. Within 6 weeks, it sold 2 million copies and soared to #1. I Want You Back. Then, in March the next year, their second single, ABC, sold 2 million copies in just 3 weeks. Just 3 months later, they released The Love You Save, which again topped the charts. The Jackson 5 became true professional stars, while Father became their full-time manager, tirelessly networking. When Motown moved from Detroit to California, the Jacksons relocated to Los Angeles. While many envied the 5 brothers' success, Michael felt his childhood ended at his 5-year-old debut. He and his brothers traded childhood freedom and endless practice for the stage and applause. Outsiders saw smooth sailing, but only we brothers knew the true struggles. Fortunately, the 5 brothers could find warmth in each other. Early on, they'd rush to the studio after school and sing late into the night, even sacrificing sleep. Michael Jackson said, back then there was a park across from Motown Studios. I remember watching kids play, gazing at them with curiosity. I couldn't imagine what that freedom, that carefree life felt like. I wanted that freedom to move around like them. It's a memory that still saddens me. I suppose this is true for any child star, but the lack of playtime soon got overshadowed by bigger problems. The problem was that the brothers couldn't attend school at all. Michael recalled, "People climbed through classroom windows for autographs or photos. I tried to keep up with lessons,
Not cause chaos or trouble during class.
but that was impossible." Later, the company hired tutors to teach us at home. As fame grew, crazy fans made daily life impossible. Even simple shopping turned into chaotic battles.
The most terrifying thing was being surrounded by hysterical girls.
Michael said helplessly, "Whenever we went to a department store, fans would mysteriously appear and wreck the place."
People fell over, counters toppled, glass shattered, cash registers flipped, total destruction. Yet, we just wanted to pick out some clothes.
Every time riots erupted, blame came flooding in. The media excels at building myths and equally enjoys creating scandals. These chaotic scenes and false accusations left 13-year-old Michael helpless. It was terrifying, 1,000 hands pulling, grabbing, dragging. I felt suffocated, almost torn apart. Once, trying to escape a mall, girls screamed while yanking and pulling my hair. My head felt like it was burning, and I ended up covered in wounds. To this day, I still bear many scars, and I remember exactly which city each one came from. As we grew older, my brothers and I learned how to fight our way through crowds outside theaters, hotels, or airports. In 1971, the Jackson 5 began touring show after show. That summer alone, they performed in 45 cities, then ran through 50 more that fall and winter. The grueling schedule left them exhausted, yet they couldn't sightsee or enjoy restaurants like ordinary people. Outside performances and recording, they were locked in hotel rooms. "Nowhere to go, frenzied fans always camped outside." Michael wrote, "Looking back, I often feel that was an exceptionally harmonious time between my brothers and me. We shared deep affection and a mutual sense of isolation."
So we stuck together, constantly seeking fun, playing pranks to pass time.
Like secretly dumping water on random heads, having dance battles in hotel halls, wrestling matches, or shaving cream fights. Endless mischief.
We'd even order room service to confused guests' rooms, then hide and laugh hysterically. Michael Jackson reflected deeply. Though the brothers shared deep bonds and father tirelessly managed every career detail, as the youngest in the group, he still faced unique struggles, like the awkwardness of performing in adult venues.
Or the growing pains of adolescence, especially since music demanded heavy investment.
Before fame, travel costs for competitions, plus instruments and costumes, overwhelmed their working-class family. So their father got them a gig at a nightclub to earn extra money. But that environment was terrifying for 8-year-old Michael Jackson. They shared the stage with comedians telling adult jokes, cocktail organists, and strippers, performing for drunken crowds, I think, and all sorts of people seeking pleasure. Michael recalled, "Every time we sang Slim Thighs and Figure, I'd climb onto tables and lift ladies' skirts. People threw money at me, called me cute, then I'd dance to thank them. Finally, I'd collect the dollars and coins from the floor and stuff them in my jacket. It was a wretched life. 5 shows nightly, 6 nights weekly, exhausting them.
Amid smoke and alcohol, Mother feared they'd be corrupted.
The worst impact hit during his teens, around 14, when his looks changed drastically, taller, yet more shy and anxious. He said, strangers seeking little Michael would walk right past me. When I said I was Michael, they'd scrutinize me suspiciously. They expected the round-faced child, not this lanky teenager. I saw shock and disappointment in their eyes. Devastating. Acne later tormented my anxious adolescence. Ordinary people couldn't grasp his despair over pimples. For years, everyone called me beautiful and cute.
But puberty brought acne. Cameras zoomed in. People magnified every flaw.
So Michael spent his childhood, or rather, never had one, between a strict father, supportive brothers, and early fame's burdens. At age 5, he was forced to grow up. As a Jackson 5 member, he navigated the adult world under spotlights, For the rest of his life, he sought to reclaim his lost childhood. Years later, his psychologist said Michael Jackson's mental age remained stuck at 12. Perhaps that's why he loved children and built Neverland, a magical paradise. The Jackson Five shone brightly but sadly didn't stay together. In fall 1971, 13-year-old Michael recorded his first solo single, Got to Be There, as the band's lead singer. He outshone his brothers. Discontent stems from inequality, not scarcity. Perhaps due to jealousy. From then on, his bond with his brothers gradually weakened. As they grew older, tensions surfaced with their former label, Motown. Motown strictly controlled artists, handling all production while dictating traditional singing styles. Even Michael's iconic screams were banned. The company controlled interviews, suffocating the maturing artists. In 1974, the Jackson Five firmly demanded to write their own songs. But Motown refused. No, you can't write songs. Let professionals handle creation and publishing. Motown's music was losing market appeal, and being called commercial products left them frustrated and angry. Finally, deeply disappointed, they left Motown. After working with Epic and CBS, they launched their own label. The talented brothers wanted a fresh image. Not just performers, but songwriters, composers, arrangers, producers, and publishers. What should they name it? They didn't want the company to rely too much on the Jackson surname. So, eventually, Michael Jackson named the company Peacock Records. He had seen peacocks raised at Mr. Keon's house and learned from a science article that all the colors visible in a rainbow are concentrated in a peacock's beautiful feathers. He was captivated by this meaning. He said, Peacock Records represents our diverse interests as brothers on one hand. On the other hand, since our first world tour, we've been committed to uniting people of all races through music. Because music knows no skin color. In 1979, Michael Jackson turned 21, the official age of adulthood in America. His private financial contract with his father expired, allowing him to fully control his career. Although he stated in his book that this didn't cause conflict with his father, it was evident from those around them and media reports that firing his father and breaking free from control angered him, leading to estrangement. His relationship with his brothers also grew tense due to his solo career. That same year, he collaborated with renowned music producer Quincy Jones to release his first solo album as an adult. Regarding the origin of this solo album, he explained that some of his musical ideas weren't adopted by the family band. Thus, he decided to no longer rely on family support, not participate in the family band's productions, but fully follow his own musical ideas to release a solo album. He even refused his brother's involvement, marking his gradual separation from the family band and estrangement from his brothers. This raises the question, do you buy into your family? The 1979 Grammy nominations were announced. Despite Off the Wall selling 6 million copies in the U.S., it only received one nomination, Best R&B Vocal Performance. And Michael Jackson recalled, when I heard the news, I felt a bit saddened, as the result fell short of my expectations. Later, someone told me that the entire entertainment industry was also surprised by this. But regardless, it was an important milestone. At least the album was successful. At least I proved that a former child star could transform into a contemporary music artist. I also showed everyone I wasn't just that little boy singing ABC with my brothers anymore. Going solo and reinventing yourself is never easy. Michael Jackson was driven, determined to create signature music and dance, and release the best-selling album ever. In November 1982, Thriller was born. It topped U.S. charts for 37 weeks, won 8 Grammys, and sold over 27 million copies worldwide. It entered Guinness World Records as the best-selling album in history. The album included Billie Jean, where Michael first debuted his iconic Moonwalk, instantly conquering the world. This all traces back to 1983, At Motown's 25th anniversary, 24-year-old Michael performed Billie Jean wearing glittering black shoes, white socks, and a mysterious fedora while dancing with gravity-defying moves, igniting global moonwalk fever.
Broadcast live nationally, nearly 50 million watched. Record-breaking ratings.
Come to this numb heart, writing anime, having you I am lonely.
So how was this unique moonwalk invented?
And how was this generation defining performance planned? The day after accepting Motown's invitation, Michael reunited with his brothers to rehearse. The plan: the five brothers performed together first, then Michael alone for Billie Jean. But the solo performance format was entirely up to him. Michael pondered how to make it innovative.
He first ordered a hat. I want a fedora. Spooky, round-brimmed, covering my eyes. But what do I do during the performance? I'm not sure yet.
Then he found a black jacket from the Thriller video shoot, perfect with the fedora. Costumes ready. Yet the night before the show, he still had no concept for the solo act. To spark creativity the night before the show, he kept Billie Jean playing on repeat. He said, "I let the music guide me. When the drum hit, I grabbed the fedora, struck poses, then moved uncontrollably, feet gliding forward yet backward. That's how the moonwalk was born, improvised." Though many moves seemed spontaneous, this wasn't sudden inspiration. It stemmed from relentless practice. Back then, similar moves already existed on the streets. Technically, it was a fast breakdancing step. No one knows the true inventor. But in black neighborhoods, many gifted kids danced this way. Michael credited 3 black kids. They taught me the basics. I added my own flair, blending it with other steps to look like walking on the moon.
Michael's moonwalk debut became an instant sensation.
My brothers told me they watched backstage, jaws dropped, never realizing I'd reached this level. I barely recall my thoughts during the performance. I only remember opening my eyes to a roaring sea of people standing and clapping wildly. In that moment, complex emotions flooded over me. I'd given my all, and it worked. But I felt disappointed. I'd planned a long spin ending with a sharp toe stand. When I stopped, I lost balance, imperfect. 50 million watched. Many later bought the album. By 1984, Thriller sold 40 million copies worldwide. The moonwalk's glossy black shoes, white socks, and high-hemmed pants became global trends kids imitated everywhere. About his iconic look, Michael shared a childhood memory. During competition years, he'd watch stars backstage in awe, all wearing patent leather shoes. Back then, all my dreams centered on owning a pair.
But I searched every shoe store nearby. None carried small sizes for boys. It broke my heart.
Back then, no one foresaw that grown-up boy defining an era with gleaming shoes, white socks, and the moonwalk. About accidentally starting the white socks trend, Michael said, "I never imagined white socks becoming fashionable." Not long ago, wearing white socks was considered old-fashioned. They were trendy in the 50s, but in the 60s through 70s, you'd get mocked for wearing them. Yet I kept wearing them. My brothers teased me, but I didn't care. I deliberately embraced what fashion rejected. The explosive success of Billie Jean and the moonwalk cemented Michael Jackson as a global superstar.
At 30, while writing this autobiography, he was at his career peak, vibrant and unstoppable.
But fame's consequences emerged. Shrinking privacy, sensationalized slander. He tried clarifying, yet felt powerless. Privately still shy, constant public exposure overwhelmed him. He said, "I grew up a child star under constant scrutiny from people who refused to let me mature. And when I first got famous, I was a chubby kid. Growing up, I turned vegetarian, got taller and thinner. Then media claimed I'd had bizarre surgeries. I only had 2 nose jobs and 1 chin procedure, but nobody listened." Other accusations focused on his constant sunglasses, like when he accepted 8 Grammys, wearing shades. In his book, he explained, "It's not about coolness or arrogance. I avoid constant eye contact to hide myself." After wisdom teeth removal, I loved the surgical mask, wore it happily. Privacy was so scarce. I needed to hide, to breathe. In the book's conclusion, Michael stressed, "Everyone has layers. I truly live with dual identities. Offstage, he was shy, humble, and full of childlike innocence. But on stage, facing ecstatic fans, he transformed, becoming a maestro who reveled in performance. Yet, when writing this book, after 25 turbulent years in entertainment, he was only 30.
He said, "Sometimes people treat you unfairly, but it makes you stronger and more decisive."
People always ask what I'm really like. I hope this book answers that, though it couldn't shield me from controversy. For decades after, attacks and slander shadowed him, intensifying over time. Some exploited his love for children to fabricate molestation accusations. Media falsely claimed his vitiligo was skin bleaching, branding him a traitor to Black people, enduring equal parts praise and defamation until death. In 2009, Moonwalk, reprinted posthumously, fans and friends bought copies to mourn. A media critic revisiting the book wrote, "On stage, Michael was godlike. So successful, we missed his fragility. This filthy world didn't deserve him. God called him back." All right, that concludes our Moonwalk interpretation. Reading notes are below. See you next time.